Gloria Strode, and welcome to Straightforward. Today I'm continuing part 2 of my awesome visit with Neil, who has been in the vineyard. I hate to keep repeating myself, but I have been inside the jail with you to see the GED dorm, the fatherhood dorm, the veterans dorm, the faith-based, and so I have seen your work up close and personal. Not because you were making some big salary, but truly a calling and a passion for helping to change the lives of others. And because you share so freely your story with having a 30-year addiction to cocaine and surviving that. I mean, Miami is an international city, but God, right. So let's go back to where you made the change. Did you go into treatment? Was it just faith? I know grandmother prayed, and we know those prayers didn't go unheard. They were not as fast as she wanted them, but they were heard. And I know she is looking down, very proud of the work that you're doing. But did you have a family? Did your family members shun you? And see, that's why a lot of people stay in the shadows, because a lot of us are so quick to judge. And we don't know why people use. We really don't. You know, a lot of folks have trauma. We have a lot of veterans that have PTSD that's living on the street. I work for the Census Bureau. They were living on 2nd Avenue down in the woods, you know, and people were judging, well, they should get a job. I'm like, but you don't know what they're dealing with. And we had some that one gentleman had been a sniper. And so he had all of these things happening in his head at night. And so his thing was he'd rather stay there versus take the risk of hurting someone. So how did you come into the ark of safety?
So first thing was I had to recommit my life to the Lord.
And you did that?
Yeah, I had to go and confess to a pastor. I went and met with my pastor and told him why I hadn't been here in years.
Really?
And so I felt like God was calling me to get clean honestly first, and then get clean physically second.
All right.
Then I got active in 12-step meetings.
That's important. And I've been to some of those where people graduate or they have another year of sobriety, and it's really better than church because they tell their stories and they have a coin and that kind of thing. So I was able to go with a childhood friend of mine, and I was very proud of them. So you got involved with 12 steps.
I had to get involved with 12 steps. To the point also where my pastor got me to lead a Christ-centered 12-step group at our church after I got a little clean time.
Really?
And so I started facilitating a Christ-centered version of the 12 steps, and we offered that at our church.
And we have a few churches in the community, I know, that still do that. I know one out on Mildred Road, because they would always have it in the church bulletin that folks could come. Okay, and so the 12 step.
So that became important. I mean, truth of the matter is, you've got to throw out the trash if you're gonna live in a clean house.
All right.
And you have to not chase the garbage man down the road, try to take it back.
Oh, I love that.
So you have to get your trash out there on my house Sunday night, so Monday they get it rid of it.
Exactly.
And then you've got to start learning how to live a life that becomes both accountable and is rich. Let me tell you a crazy story.
Okay.
Me and about 8 other recovering people, 2 years ago in July, went to an airport north of Atlanta and jumped out of airplanes together. So all of us were recovering people.
Oh, okay.
So here's the 2 things we knew. We have adventurous lives that don't need drugs.
Right.
And we need to share the joy of being in recovery.
Right.
And so we came up with this crazy idea. Actually, there's a guy named John Bertishaw said, we're going to jump out of airplanes. And we all said, well, why not?
We've survived being out there. We can do this.
And truth be known, in 2 weeks, on the 29th, a bunch of us are going to go jump out of that same airplane at that same airport 2 years later.
Wow.
And taking some new friends with us.
Well, see, I like that. It's like, okay, we did all of this adventurous, we thought, in that other life, we can find good, clean adventure. I'm not necessarily going to say safe jumping out the plane, but good, clean adventure.
And, you know, I have the money to pay for a jump.
Yes.
Because I don't buy drugs.
Exactly.
You asked about family. So that was the good news. The
That's
bad
good.
news was I had 3 sons
Mm-hmm.
who all were mad as heck.
Yes, because you were not present.
And I do have an ex-wife
Mm-hmm.
as a direct result of my addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what God does. All 3 of my sons came to Columbus, Georgia back in 2010 when I got ordained.
Really?
All 3 of them flew here to be part of that ordination process.
Oh, I'm
because-
glad they had a chance to witness that.
And God healed our relationships.
Oh, wonderful.
And the ex, bless her heart, she'll always have that question in her mind, but we became great parents.
Mm-hmm.
So
Co-parenting.
you could not call her up and say, Dad said,
Right.
or play me like that, because
Right.
we both knew how to conference in the other one, and we
Right.
were welcome on their phone.
All right.
And so I could pick up the phone and say, Kathy, Billy's trying to lay something on me. He said, you said. And she said, you know I didn't.
Exactly.
And then we just both, I would look at Billy and he would go, never mind.
Yes.
So we were able to be good parents, even
Right.
though we're not.
Married
That's
any
really
longer.
right.
Right.
So God even healed everything that could be healed in that.
Isn't that something? That's a powerful testimony. So all those years you were out and moving about, and you know, because I do know I've had some family members where they were, you know, had an addiction, and certain people would want them invited to things because they were like, well, if so and so shows up, something's gonna go missing. So did you ever have that? You never had that.
I have a family member, because I'm a reverend,
Mm-hmm.
if we have a meal, guess who gets asked to pray?
Oh, really?
Yeah, me.
Okay.
But her purse is hidden.
Oh my goodness.
And I asked her once, I
Did
said,
you ask her?
why is the purse hidden, but you trust me to pray? And she said, leopards don't change their spots, and it ain't gonna be my money
Oh
that
my goodness.
pays for your relapse.
Oh my goodness.
So we get along, but I'm the one that created that problem.
Mm-hmm.
So
So you're not offended.
no, I'm gonna accept it. That's a burden of my mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Is that part of what we learned in that 12 step?
that's right.
That's a part.
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Yes.
And then we have to admit
That's right.
what our role, and we ask for forgiveness and things like that. I remember going to those, and I would always leave like, God, that felt better than church, because it was so real.
Yes.
Yeah, it was so real.
So both the pain and the recovery, the blessings, are
Mhm.
real
Mhm.
in the 12-step groups.
Okay, so that's ongoing. Or how long is a 12 step? Is it a life?
Yes.
Continuous.
I still catch meetings.
You still catch meetings, right? So, and that's what you recommend, not where people just get clean and then they try to go and just be on their own. It's just good to be
If you don't continue to touch that safe tree,
that safe tree.
then you're gonna
While
be
we
it.
have the safe house.
Then you're gonna be it.
Right.
And I don't want to be it. So
Right.
I want to go back and touch it.
Okay.
I know that I picked up white chips when I thought I had figured it all out.
Okay.
So the moment I got prideful enough to think I got this,
Uh-huh.
I needed to get humble enough to say, give me one more chance.
Okay, all right. Well, what we're going to do is go to a break to our sponsors. We'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided. A touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. Whole Patient Healthcare. Dr. Jada Rimes-Bacote is board certified in family medicine. She believes the best patient care includes practical, individualized lifestyle changes. Located at 1338 13th Avenue, Columbus, 706-641-2080, or visit wholepatienthealthcare.com. And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this wonderful conversation with my awesome friend, Neil. I just feel so hopeful talking to you. I've seen so many people that I know out in the community, and I see them walking, people I've grown up with. Just, you know, it's just saddens me sometimes. But I know that you're here. I know that we have the 12-step. You know, you just said something about a white chip. And then I attended a 5-year sobriety with someone, and mine was a metal chip or something. Explain that.
So if I get a 1-year chip or a 5-year chip or whatever, or it's really a medallion,
Right.
I get an extra one that I can share with somebody.
Okay.
And so somebody loves you a lot if they wanted to share that, because that's
Oh, really?
5 years
Yes.
of real life.
Yes.
And so they thought you meant something in their recovery, and they shared that victory with you.
Thank you. And I still have it in my china cabinet.
Yes.
I didn't realize how significant it was. I was like, oh, okay, and this was a great celebration. So that meant that I was a positive influence, is
That's
what
right.
you're saying. Right.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
on the journey.
All right. And so those chips are important,
Right.
and we need to stay connected.
That's right.
All right. So you shared with me, and I got so excited. This church is simply beautiful. And I asked you before we started, have you married someone in this church?
Yes.
And your answer was yes. And I was like, really? Such a great success story. We won't share the names, but just share with our audience that wonderful success story.
So she called me up not too long ago and said, I wanted to tell you that we're still doing good.
So they have been in this program.
So they both came through Tomorrow's Hope.
Really?
They both lived in our shelters. She in the women's and him in the men's shelter.
Really?
And they had both graduated, and they had both then gone to work. I hadn't seen either of them in a couple of years. They've been dating. They're in love. They decided they wanted to get married, and they wanted to do it back at their roots.
How
And they said,
wonderful.
the roots of our new life started in this ministry.
Right.
And so I got to
And you
marry
were a
them.
major part of that.
And I got the permission to marry them here in this sanctuary.
Really? And they are working, have a new life,
They
homeowners,
own a home.
bought a house.
That's right.
So that helps you when the journey, sometimes we get weary on the journey. Woo, it can get weary. So even when the journey gets weary, you can think about why you do this. Because I'm sure some days you're probably not so sure. You get exhausted.
Sure.
You do get exhausted, because you're human.
And the winds kind of disappear.
Right.
The non-winds
Right.
continue to stay. You stay in the dirt with them.
In that fight.
And so you're fighting with them. So sometimes you don't even. Sometimes I've been to the movie theater.
Right.
And a guy was running across the lobby, dragging this poor girl behind him.
Right.
And he said, Chap, it's date night.
Yeah.
He said, we have kids, we got a babysitter, my wife and I are at the movies.
Wow.
He said, you told us about date nights and staying in love with your spouse
Isn't that something?
in the jail.
Isn't
I
that
told him
something?
that. So,
And he remembered. Yeah, so those are the good seeds. When you sow those seeds and then you see everything come to fruition. That helps on the days when you seem like you're just on the treadmill, just running and you don't really quite see the intended.
But always remember this, to whom much is given, much is due. And I was given freedom.
Yes.
I was given sanity. And I was given a life worth living.
Right.
And I have to pay
And
it back
restoration.
every day.
Restored your family relations with your children. So you have 3 sons.
That's right.
And one's in Hawaii.
I know.
And you're going to be going over to visit and see the grandbaby and all of that. See how the Lord, He always had a plan and a purpose. And so back then we couldn't see what it was,
Right.
but now we can see what
Okay.
all of that was a part of that journey. How did you navigate just with your old friends? Folks, when you start moving in a positive direction, people want to be shady. The folks you were in the element with, when you got to where you didn't want to be in that element anymore. You know how people.
It's bad. So 2 reasons. First of all, if I succeed and they're not,
Right.
it affects their self-esteem
Right.
and makes them feel worse about themselves. So if they can get me to slip, then it's not my fault. That's how they think. It's not my fault. We're just who we are.
Exactly.
But
Doing
if-
what we do.
So yeah, in early recovery, I have found dope on my dresser.
Really?
Yeah, I have.
Your so-called friends.
Somebody-
Just gonna hook you up.
Somebody wanted to see if I would smoke that, and then we could go play.
Really?
Yeah.
How mean is that?
So,
That's nothing but a
for
trick of the
them,
enemy.
that's right. But for them, if I don't fail, then what the heck are they doing?
Exactly.
And so that calls them to account, and if they're not ready to be held accountable,
Right.
then they need to fail. So, rule one: new playgrounds,
Right.
new playmates,
Right.
and to go different places.
Right.
I don't go where I used to go. I don't hang around with the people I used to hang around with.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to meetings and saw somebody that was in my drug past
Really?
and was able to hug them and say, "I'm so glad you're here too."
Yes. The ark of safety.
That's right.
Yes.
But I can't go out and try to fix them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm struggling enough just to keep me fixed.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's got to get into the rooms on their own. But that's, for me, the beauty of this Tomorrow's Hope program we created,
Mm-hmm.
is we teach people how to use the 12 steps
Mm-hmm.
and how to meet Jesus in the middle of it,
Yes.
and how to have the ability to live a life worth living.
Exactly. Where they're not just in a grind.
That's right.
The very dark days, and of course, I've had some family members, and actually one came to a very, very tragic end, female, and just kept going back to the same company. You can't do that, and even if with all of the peer pressure, peer pressure is something else. Even if you're trying to go on a diet, then people want to all of a sudden invite you. They want to invite you out to eat, No, really, that's what people will do.
It does.
And then if you're not even on a diet, they never even try to call you, but then, as soon as they know you're on a diet, they want to invite you out to eat. But I do, not making light of it, the work that you do here, it's very important. The 12-step, the community resources, the family, trying to hold that together. That's why you say we're going to do the 12 steps, and then we're going to make sure they know who the Savior is.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to put the wraparound services. And then if people see where they're falling by the wayside, then that's why you have those sponsors and the counselors like Cheryl Zapp and her team to help people stay on the track.
That's right.
So we just don't take them and then we just throw them out. We don't do that. They can always find the support.
That's right.
They can do that. What we're going to do now, go to a break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. The law offices of Siobhan S. Thomas and Associates, 201 9th Street in Uptown Columbus, 706-350-7232. A veteran-owned law firm dedicated to equal rights and justice for all. Make Siobhan S. Thomas and Associates your first choice for legal services. Visit SiobhanThomas.com. The Miley Agency, 4903 Armour Road. Gerald L. Miley and William Ripsinger have been providing comprehensive reviews and insuring families in Georgia and Alabama for more than 50 years. The Miley Agency will work non-stop to find you the best policy at the best price. You can rest assured that your information is secure, confidential, and protected. Call today at 706-996-2045. Adjuster Source 101. Sign up today for the Insurance Claims Adjuster virtual course. The All Lines license allows an adjuster to work claims in residential, commercial, inland marine, ocean marine, and workers' comp, Georgia property and casualty, Alabama property and casualty, and additional states. For more information, call 470-724-1050 or info@adjustersource101.com. The Columbus Memory Center, 7196 North Lake Drive, Suite A, Columbus. Dr. Jonathan Liss is a board-certified neurologist and sleep specialist committed to battling Alzheimer's by preserving independence, offering you the opportunity to get your memory number for free, the only vital sign for brain health. Call today at 706-327-4000 or visit columbusmemorycenter.com. Share with us all the other programs, great things you're doing.
So in the last year, God has just blown the doors off. I had to retire from the jail because the ministry was getting big enough that it was too much.
Too much.
So
To work two jobs.
and
Yes.
the sheriff has a great chaplain staff inside that
Right.
jail now, and so coming out here full time and then being here as God has grown it.
Mhm.
So 2 years ago, we had 84 homeless beds between our women's shelter and our men's shelter. Tonight, we have 213 homeless beds.
213.
So the old Cobus, which is behind Muskogee Manor by...
Off Chautauqua Road.
That's right.
Right.
That's now a 104-bed men's shelter known as Freedom House.
Really?
Our old men's shelter became a women and children's shelter, and we had as many as 54 women and children in that facility.
Women and children?
That's right.
So they're able to take their children with them?
That's right.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
we want to keep the family together as best we can.
And then to meet that end, the one thing that never got done in this community until last summer was we took our old women's shelter and converted it into 5 apartments for homeless families.
Really?
So in the old days, man go to men's shelter, women and children go to women and children's shelter.
Right.
Now, the family moves into that unit and we support them while we help them get work.
Really?
And so they can stay there until we can get them into permanent housing. And then we took over a program that provides housing 2 people per apartment for mental health homeless people.
Really?
Where we're teaching them how to partner together. So
Yes.
if I'm the one that leaves the stove on and you're the one that never locks the door between the two of us.
We need to figure that thing out. Well, it's almost like going in a college dormitory because people are raised differently. So it's hardly no different than staying somewhere with someone you didn't know before. Okay, so you're teaming them up.
And then we can work with them and through our case managers and help them become independent enough that they can then go get their own place.
How about that?
And so, in any given night, we have about 208 people staying in our 213 beds.
Isn't that something?
All of our shelters have case managers that can help a person identify their barriers and help them overcome them. We have a workforce center that we help people get not minimum wage jobs.
Right.
So we did electrical apprenticeship class. We partnered
where they can get a livable wage.
Earn a mortgage wage.
I know.
That's what I'm
People
talking
bought a
about.
house. Yes.
Electricians, HVAC, and plumbing, and we partnered with Goodwill to make these packages work. And so we can take somebody and help them get a job, and then we take them and try to help them learn computer skills or some of the soft skills necessary to get a promotion at work.
Exactly.
And then we teach people to quit taking anything less than $10 an hour. And
What
let's
you say?
go make $20,000 a year minimum and figure out how to move it forward.
Yes.
So that way, with our case managers, our workforce center, our substance abuse program, we can meet just about every challenge that a person has while they're transitioning from prison, jail, streets,
Right.
and addiction.
Amazing. So we have true wraparound services, and then we have true career paths. Because if you ever needed to call a plumber or an electrician, you better take out your good checkbook. I've had to do that. You need to take out your good checkbook because it's always going to be a service call, and for what they have, you know, that's a desired skill, and it usually is going to cost some money, but you know, those are traits that we need. So I'm very impressed that you're not telling them to just go to a fast food restaurant, which really is nothing wrong with that because I worked at Burger King for $1.30 an hour at Macon Road when I was a high school student at Carver. But what I'm saying, it's not a livable wage. And we don't want to encourage people to start doing all of the side things, how we used to get money, you know, when they were out on the street. We don't want people to do that. We want them, then we relapse because then we're going back to what those same places, same people, same watering holes. So how do people get into this program? What has to happen? They just walk through the door any day, any time. How does this work?
We're open here. This is our central intake place, if you will.
Okay.
From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. on weekdays, 7 a.m. to 1 on the weekends.
Okay, so Monday through Friday, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m.
That's right.
Your administrative teams, people are here.
That's right.
On the weekends, it's from 7 a.m. to 1, and that's what Saturdays and Sundays.
Right.
Okay.
And holidays.
And holidays.
Because
holidays.
we work 365.
Okay, so I've seen meals here and things like that on the holidays. Are you doing meals here? Or that's
Yes.
another location?
Always here. So there's a free breakfast and a free lunch here 365 days a year.
Every day.
Every day.
So that's why I always see the people under the tree. Because I came one day and I bought gallons of milk.
Right.
And the gentleman came to the car and they helped take it. I didn't come in. But you're feeding people. So that's why they're here so faithfully. In the mornings and at lunchtime, and then after they have those 2 meals. Because at least before they go back to wherever they're going, you have that for us.
So we serve over 500 cups of coffee here a day.
500. So how much coffee do you buy? You got a truckload.
If you talked about how people can help.
Yes.
If somebody wanted to send a check, the Safe House is at 2101 Hamilton Road.
Okay.
And that's where they would send the check made out to the Safe House.
2101 Hamilton Road to the Safe House.
That's right.
And you're serving over 500 cups of coffee.
Every day.
Every day, right here.
And so some people, instead of a check, they might show up here with a 100-pound bag of sugar. Or somebody might come in with a roll of toilet paper.
Yes.
Somebody might, so toilet paper, coffee, sugar, creamer, we go through that.
Just burning through it. And so people can just do that because sometimes for some fixed income, but as they're getting their things at Walmart and other places, they might can get some for you and just bring it for the least of them, the ones that you're trying to help them get back on their feet.
And if somebody needs to reach out for a family member, 706-322-3773.
Say it again.
706-322-3773.
Okay.
The Safe House. You can Google it. It'll give you the phone number.
Okay.
Our website. So you can reach, but if you call that number and say, my son, my wife, my sister needs help, we'll come up with a plan with you on the phone.
All right. So that's immediate. No waiting list. We're going to get a plan. Well, I thank you so much for everything you do, and I promise I'm going to do better. Now that I know that I don't have to wait till the Lord provides me that $2 billion check to give you as we're out shopping, we can get some things with 500 cups of coffee, and we can come and contribute. That's asking very little. Thank you so much. You are the best. Simply the best. This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.